Hey, welcome back to Blue and Blur, everybody. My name is Mark.
And I'm RJ. And right after this, we're going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
All right, so Toronto Maple Leafs. Some good news, a lot of bad news.
I don't. I don't know if there's any good news.
Rough week to be a Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
I don't know if there's any. Where was the good news?
You did the trades. You got some trades that you wanted.
Well, we did trade. Okay, mission
Nice,
mission not quite finished or completed. They got 3 players out. I mean, the over under. I think we'll get into the ones that weren't traded, but so they traded Lawton for a third that can turn into a second if LA makes the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're 4 points out. They traded Raw to Colorado for a first. That was a good trade, actually. And then McMahon to Seattle for a second and a fourth. And there's a lot of talking about. I even was talking about he's got a cheap contract. He could be a useful player on a team that's got cap problems, but still wants to go far in the playoffs. Advantageous that his cap was so low. So maybe that would be worth a first. They didn't get that, and I think because Bobby Mann has problems. He takes nights off. He's not that for his size. He's just not physical enough, and so I think getting a second round for him is pretty good. Now, what I'll say about this is the Leafs. The Leafs dragged it out to the end. They should have been.
Oh yeah. They were early morning trades.
No, Raw went the day before, but then they tried to get Lawton and McMahon out the door and a lot of the teams that have first, 26 and 27 first rounds are they're out the door. They were already out the door. I think they should have been Lawton and these guys should have been maybe traded the day after the Olympic break was over. They should have been on making moves then. Maybe they were trying. Maybe they did. Maybe they tried. Because the other thing is, you look at Lawton. I mean, useful player, great on faceoffs, great in the room, and a great penalty killer. But great in the room, who cares? So he selects the music, and everyone likes it. Is that teams aren't paying first rounds for that? I just think that again in Toronto we overvalue these guys. And I think what it says here, what Lawton went here is an indictment on Tree Living overpaid for him last year by giving up a first, a fourth, and a prospect. But anyway, now the big complaint is that Larson didn't go out the door because he's clearly not going to be around when this team's good. He's got 1 more year left. He's 34. And we're going, why didn't he go? Well, I think 2 reasons. 1, again, they didn't start early enough. 2, he's 34. Played in the Olympics, didn't get a break. Leafs have been playing him over 20 minutes a night. In the 2 years in Florida, he was averaging like 11 or 12 or 13 at most. So I think a lot of teams are thinking, what kind of legs is this guy? If we're planning on going 3-4 rounds to give up a first round to get going, we're obviously planning on a 3-round, 4-round run. What will this guy have left by the end of May? So I think there was a lack of interest in him in regards to that. Nobody was giving him Tree Living a first. And I guess Tree Living decided if I can't get a first for him, I'd rather keep him. And
I don't think the Toronto Maple Leafs had making the playoffs in mind with these trades.
What do you? No, they threw not them making the playoffs, but I'm talking about the other teams didn't want these guys.
Yeah,
didn't want Larson
guys,
because he wouldn't get the May. I'm not saying the Leafs were thinking. No, the Leafs were no. If the Leafs are thinking about going to May, I'm saying the guy's not. He's not going to have much left. He's an 11, 12-minute player for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Here in Toronto, he's logging first unit minutes. And he has not played well in January. From January on, he has not been as I'll tell you. And here we go, get to away from the trading. I want to get back to it again, but I looked at the stats, and you know what? 5-on-5 amongst defensemen, Morgan Riley is number 1, like worst. He's given up the most goals 5-on-5, 66. You know who's in second place? OEL Larson, 64 goals.
Wow.
No, probably because he plays with Riley a lot of times, but
yeah.
It says a lot about the situation we got with Morgan Riley. I thought maybe Benoit could have been moved on. Actually, he's a right shot, so I thought maybe Montreal could have took. And he's got a French name, the whole bit.
Yeah, I think that goes back to you don't want to trade inside your own division. Right?
And I already detailed why they weren't trading Brandon Carlo, because that trade is actually particularly stinky because the Leafs are going to finish in. Boston owns their pick. They got Toronto traded this year's first round for Carlo. And it's lottery protected 5, but they should have had it lottery protected 10. And and Fraser Minton's turning into a pretty good, efficient third line center. So that's a terrible trade. And for him Carlo to get a second round off Detroiters or Montreal, were looking for right shot Ds. Detroit ended up getting Justin Falk, which was another trade, by the way, that was after 3:00 after our live show. That was the one where, anyway, Justin Falk. But Treliving couldn't trade Carlo. It would just be a press conference in hell explaining why he traded such treasure for Carlo, and he can only get a second or third round back. But anyway, speaking of Treliving, his post trade deadline press conference, and then he also did both afternoon drive time shows on the Toronto radio here, and I caught both of those, plus the press conference. Very dejected, he sounded down. And one thing I liked about it, though, he came right out and said, hey, you know what the number one problem? He didn't do the Keith Pelly thing about the injuries and the compressed schedule, which anything to talk about scheduling is ridiculous. He came right out and said, you know what? It's on me. Roster construction was poor. So I don't say a lot of nice things about Treliving, but I do. You know what? He stood up and he took it like a man, and he said it was his fault.
You think that's the problem?
Oh, 100%.
Roster construction?
There's two problems.
Or is it performance?
Oh, I'll give you...
Because we could get into like the player performance now. Because
I'll say my thing about it is the roster's poorly constructed. There's no doubt of that, and it's been poorly planned. The Marner thing should have been addressed earlier. But okay, now I'm going to get into the... Have they fallen that far? Were they that good last year? They had the fifth best goal. We've gone over before.
Didn't they win the division last year?
They won the division, had 108 points,
and
got to the second round. But they had the fifth best goaltending in the league. They had, and the top four maybe only had their one goalie at the top, firing in all cylinders. Leafs had two goalies. Their second, which is really important when you're a backup goalie. So when they're having to play those back-to-backs, so they put both. It didn't matter which goalie they put in. They had great goaltending last year. That fixes a lot of problems. The second thing was Chris Tanev had a fantastic year. Arguably, I would say he was the MVP of the Leafs season. So he had a fantastic season. His stats, 5-on-5, everything was all his stats were off the chart. And he only played 11 games this year. So and the goaltending went like sub-zero. They went from fifth best to maybe 27th or 28th best at times. Though I think it was for a stretch there, it was actually one of the worst. So the goaltending, then you take Chris Tanev, and having Chris Tanev not there is another reason why the goaltending wasn't as good, obviously. And then,
but the roster didn't change much from last year, other than Marner leaving.
Yeah, and Mitch Marner left, and they didn't replace him. Yeah. They did not replace. Marner's salary, $11.5 million, comes off the books, and he put the money into Dakota Joshua, who's been a stiff. He bought the guy from Phoenix for another $3.5 million, Michelli, and he's not been any good.
Right.
And I don't know what he did with the rest of the money. He sprinkled it, I guess. And he also lost to Tavares. They had a lot of cap space. I mean, Tavares came off the books and ended up being $7 million less. Between Marner and Tavares, they had $18 million to go spend around. Now, granted, I don't think the free agent season last year was that great.
Yeah.
But
I remember a conversation we had on this show.
Yes.
That you said, Marner leaving is no big deal. He's maybe one game.
No,
I think said something like one. He's a one-game difference.
No,
guy.
Actually,
so now do you think?
I know what I said.
Bit of a difference.
I said 1 to 3 games.
1 to 3 games.
If they had Marner in the lineup, I'd say they have 6 more points. You put Tanev in the lineup and Marner, you got 10 more points. 10 more points right now, or 12 more points, let's say, and then the goaltending. That's like maybe 15, 16. They'd be in the playoffs. You get better goaltending, Marner and Tanev playing. They'd be Boston and Montreal and Detroit. One of those teams would be looking in. I
think the problem is more than that. I mean, I think your top players are not performing. I think Nylander's performing. He still gets on the scoreboard with assists or goals every game.
Bad year.
Matthews is not having a good year. He was winless or scoreless in Tampa
Right
Bay.
Now he's on his second longest drought ever. His rookie season, he went 13 games. I think he's at 11, or he might even be
I think
12. He's at 12 now.
13 now, yeah.
No, he's at 12 now, and and the longest is 13.
And this is the guy this is your clutch guy. Like, this is the guy you're paying the
don't
highest
get me-
salary
don't
to say, listen, you're the guy that's
don't
going to
get me-
score that fourth goal on a
Don't get me
3-on-3.
started.
and
Don't get me started. I know. I didn't like.
What's going on? You think it's mental health? I'm thinking it's mental health. I think,
Matthews?
yes. Yeah.
No,
I don't think he's hurt
that
physically.
big smile he
I
had on
think
his
it's-
face when he won the gold. If you've got mental health problems, you can't
Well,
smile
man, you
like
could,
that.
yeah. Well, listen, you could have mental
No,
health.
I
and
think
still
he's.
smile
I
once
think
in a
he's
while.
had. Okay. I think he's had 2 or 3 injuries that are the kind. Maybe some guys just can play through hurts and get over them. I don't think he's got over his hurts. He's got some kind of. He's not the same. Like the I'm not a big analytics guy, but I read it the other day about 12 to 14 kilometers an hour off his shot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And he's just not. I don't think he skates as fast as he did prior to that. So less shooting power, not as much speed. So he's not getting to the puck as fast. And then he's not firing it off. He's not the player he was. No, he's still a great player, but he's not worth 14. The problem is, if he could still get 40 goals and get 80 points and all that kind of stuff. But that's a $9 million player. That means they're paying him 14, so that's a $5 million hockey player that they can't acquire. And this is the problem. The Leafs have always overpaid. They're too top heavy. We know that.
But like I said in previous videos, the player I'm impressed right now is Nylander. Like, Nylander is actually performing as per expected. He's getting points per game. He's getting almost a goal per game. I think he's at a points per game average right now, with an assist last game. He's the one, when I'm watching the Leafs, he's the one I notice. Like, he's the player I notice.
Well,
he's
of course
actually,
you do. He carries the puck, and even plays like every once in a while he scores a goal, but like your boyhood hero, Guy Lafleur.
Yeah.
And no, but the problem is Matthews and Nylander, between the two of them, $25 million. Now, let's go through. I'm not going to go through the entire division, but in Detroit, you probably Matthews and Nylander are regarded as better players than Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond on Detroit. But Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond are only making, between the two of them, about $17 million.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to your guys, Suzuki and Caulfield, your top two
They're
forwards.
$8 million apiece,
They're making $16 million.
Yeah.
So so we're talking $9-10 million. Those guys get to get two $5 million players to help them out, or another $9 million guy.
A perfect example is McDavid. Like this.
Well, that's why Edmonton they get to the finals, because those two guys are so tremendous.
McDavid's, he took less money. He's outperforming almost everybody that's making
those guys
more money.
Those guys perform to their contracts to the max, so they both earned their contracts. Matthews and Nylander actually don't perform to the 25. They don't give you $25 million worth of points.
Right.
I just said, I would.
Yet the building is full every single game.
Well, it's no. This year they've not had sellouts, and they paper the.
Well, it's almost full.
And that Tampa game on Saturday night, you could hear the players talking to each other, the skates on the ice. You could hear a pin drop almost.
Yeah. Don't forget the empty seats you see sometimes.
I know they're going to get more.
They're already sold. Okay,
Well,
those are season tickets that they just didn't sell for that game.
They prefer to drink their Ryan Gingers with glass instead of. You got to take plastic out to the seat, so they want to sit with the whiskeys in glass. So they stay in the lobby, or they're ordering more sushi.
Yeah.
But
so you want to talk post-Olympic performance right now for Toronto? Like they're 3-5-2 in their last 10, and the 3 wins are pre-Olympic.
No, they haven't won since the Olympic. They've only won 2 of their last 18 games, regulation wins in the last 18. This week they play you guys on Tuesday. No, we're not betting sweaters. I'm not going to do that again.
Really? Because they're playing tomorrow night. I figured we could do a little.
Pass me that sweater right now. But they and then they play the new and improved Anaheim Ducks with John Carlson, who's got Ovechkin and Wilson in tears. I'm still laughing about that. Well, I'm not really laughing. I'm intrigued by it. A lot of talk. Ovechkin was really upset. So the Leafs, I just thought the Treliving press conference and talks on the radio were really revealing and interesting. And I don't know what the Leafs are going to do. They're not going to run it back. Berube's definitely not going to be back next year. If you look at some of this, I
think Berube and Treliving are both gone.
I don't know. I would like to think so. I can say without question Berube will be fired.
Yeah, I think so.
And deservedly so.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'll be announced like a week after the.
Well, you look at some of the. Again, I'm not an analytics guy, but Matthews has started. Apparently, I think he's number one amongst centermen after taking so many faceoffs. He's number one. He's in the number of defense faceoffs he's taken. Apparently, he's already taken more defensive faceoffs this year than he did all last year. So, Berube just doesn't trust his team. So Matthews is a good defensive player. He's always got to. He's having to use him. Well, he's turning him into Patrice Bergeron. But Matthews with Keefe would always, and even last year, Berube had a little more confidence because he had good goalies. Mm-hmm. Matthews was primarily getting faceoffs in the offense. He was starting in the offensive zone. So stuff like that. And I don't like the way Berube's used Easton Cowan. I think he's misused a couple other young guys. Robertson gets mistreated every year. Or just get rid of him. If you're not going to trust him, we've had him long enough now. Let him go somewhere. He'll score 30 goals a year with Seattle or whatever. The other thing about I did find not really a Toronto thing now. It's a Seattle thing. I thought Seattle's not even in the playoffs. Granted, they're a few points out, and they get on a run, they can make it. For them to give up draft picks for Bobby McMahon, I just wonder if they think that they like that player, and that trade's not so much. Well, partly to help them do if they can get in by a roll of the dice, but maybe they like that player and they think they have a really good shot at signing him.
Seattle's barely in the playoffs right now. They're in the second wild card spot, and but San Jose with Celebrini is 1 point behind them, right on their heels.
So they're in the playoffs, but when I looked at it the other day, they were but they are on the bubble, and I got a funny feeling they like Bobby McMahon to make that trade.
Yeah. Just to finish off the video, just one quick stat. When we came back from the Olympic break, I think Toronto was 6 points back, 8 points back, if I remember correctly. So they still had a chance.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking. Yes, this is this. If you're going to turn it up, this is it. Man, 7 games in a row. They're now 11 points back. It's
it's been dreadful.
Yeah, it's point of no return.
That's not how all this talk about we got to buckle down. So we got to try better. We just executed. No, maybe you should be executed.
Yeah. So what? So there's no way they're saving the season, and meaning they're not getting into the playoffs.
No.
So
let's do we should have done that on our NHL video. They're a cross off.
Yeah.
I forgot to do my cross off.
So
I'll do cross offs on Friday, but I'm officially Toronto is a cross off.
Yeah. So what do you think they should do to at least make it somewhat respectable? So that they, what do they need to change right now to make it a respectable season? Maybe not make the playoffs because they won't make the playoffs.
No,
but at least what do they need to do in these last 20
they don't
games?
We don't. We would like to get down. We get as low as possible to increase our lottery chance that the lottery gets pulled and we go into the bottom 5.
So you don't want the opposite?
No, I'm happy. I was happy they lost to Tampa Bay, and I'm going to be. I'm cheering for them to lose now. They need to bring up all the Marlies that they can that they think might have a potential to play in this league. And they need. You want
them to get this best chance as to
Gavin
McKenna.
I'm not telling them to tank. I'm not telling them to tank. But there's different ways. You can tank other ways, right? You can play like a back to back. Just play Stolarts both nights, and bring up 3-4 Marlies, and sit Janrock and Domi and whatever. Probably, which might be a good thing actually. No, like play Jacob Quinlan, the centerman that's really good on the Marlies. He played the other night.
Yeah.
And to me, like they did one thing. Like Tanev could have brought if they were only 1 point out or say they were 3 points in, they might have told Tanev, hey, you get that surgery in June.
Yeah.
But no, they just sent him to go get surgery now. That way, the sooner he gets the surgery, the more healthy he'll be in September. That's one of the few things I can say that they actually made the right decision there. Don't bother coming back this year. Just go get the surgery now.
Yeah.
No, we want him to go as low as possible because it's going to be completely embarrassed. Yet again, the Boston Bruins get a pretty good draft pick out of us.
Yeah.
It's Tuukka Rask and Tyler Seguin all over again. But no, we want to go as low as possible because I don't think they can catch Calgary. I don't think the Leafs can physically finish in 5th. And even if you do, you might get a bad lottery pull and get pulled back up into 7th anyway. So I wouldn't play to try to get the draft. There's no guarantee to get that final 5 spot, not where they are.
So if you're saying
but they should try to get as low as possible.
Toronto's a cross-off at 65 points. Florida's at 65 points. Is Florida a cross-off as well?
I think, no, Florida's a cross-off now.
Okay. All right.
They're all cross-offs in the East below. Philadelphia didn't make a trade. Daniel Briere announced that, and that he wasn't going to make any trade. So Daniel Briere, the general manager, crossed him off. Ottawa apparently was on the phone all day and couldn't get anyone to go to Ottawa.
Everybody below Washington would be a cross-off. New Jersey, Florida, Toronto,
obviously New
Rangers.
Jersey and the Rangers and the one team that I think is sneaky good right now is Columbus Blue Jackets. And and your Montreal Canadiens or Boston Bruins or the Detroit Red Wings better pull their bootstraps up, because the Jackets are. I think the Jackets are going to take one of those teams out.
Yeah, you can't afford to lose too many games right now. On that note, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about the Maple Leafs season this year. What moves would you have made, drastic or not, at the trade deadline? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. We're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens.